I'm good. Do I have to answer anything? Hi, Gunn.
How are
What's
you,
up?
sir?
Hi. Hi.
Howie, you touched on it with the writers, but can you discuss your philosophy going into this draft when so much of the needs for maybe depth on this team were addressed in free agency?
Yeah, our goal is to try to take the best player available, try to accumulate a lot of good players for our football team going forward, and I think we look at it as an opportunity for not just now, but for the future.
Howie, we watched you with the theme of trying to build this team from the inside out, meaning the trenches. What is the criteria and philosophy in terms of what you look for in the trenches on both sides?
Well, we want guys who fit our scheme first. There will be a lot of players in this draft on the defensive side, for instance, who are more suited to a 3-4 than a 43. We want guys that our coaches see the fit, and it's got to match from a front office and a coach's perspective. But there are a lot of good players on both sides of the ball, not only in the trenches, but throughout the draft.
How do you view this year's crop of running backs? Because there seems to be a consistent theme. There might not be a running back taken in the first round this year.
Yeah, I think every year the draft has strengths and weaknesses, but you can find good players. And at the same token, we made the trade for Jordan because we think Jordan's a really productive player. He's third in the National Football League in rushing yards since he entered the league, which is a huge accomplishment when you think about the talent at that position. We also like a lot of the guys that we have in the building right now, young players that we continue to develop and that have helped us win a lot of games.
Howie, there was a point where you would draft by need. That's go back a few years. But obviously now we draft by quality of player. When did it change and why did that change?
We got to learn lessons from our past, and me in particular, I've been humbled by some of the mistakes that I've made in terms of valuing certain positions over what's the best particular player, and it stares you right in the face when you go back and look at those drafts, and you go, hey, we really like this player, different position, but we went into the draft saying we have to get X, and that's why we try to take care of as many needs as we possibly can during free agency and go into the draft and just say, we don't know what we're going to need a year from now, 2 years from now, and these players are long-term players for our team.
Howie, when you look at the depth, I'm sorry, when you look at the depth.
No, whoa. What kind of gentleman are you, dude? You cut her off.
Thank you, Howie. It seems like this offseason you guys have been retooling and maybe not rebuilding, and you say you don't want to get younger for the sake of getting younger. So how do you take that approach now?
Yeah, I think that the draft gives you the opportunity to get younger, and over the next 2 years, we anticipate having more picks than we've had the last couple of years. But by the same tokens, we're looking for good players. We just want to retool. We don't want to rebuild. When we have this amount of talent on our team, we have a lot of players who are under long-term contracts too, who should be part of this for a long time. So we look at the draft as kind of separate than free agency and whatever we got on the team, and that's kind of how our process will be.
When you look at the
I'm back,
depth
baby.
and versatility that you have in positions like DB and offensive line, how much did that help you narrow the draft process in terms of what you're strategizing for?
Well, I think we're looking for versatile guys. Joe talked about it a little bit. We talk about positionless players in a league where it's a matchup league, offensively, defensively. So when you have offensive linemen who can play tackle, who can play guard, who can play center. I mean, Isaac's been such a huge, valuable player for us because of his ability during a game to step out and play tackle. Go in and play center, play guard. Same thing at DB, to have guys who can play nickel, who can play outside corner, who can move back and play safety. I mean, that's a huge value for you in a league that you're going to have injuries. You're going to have a loss of games to players. You're going to have players in the middle of game who are missing time. You have 46 guys on your roster. So those are things that we look for. Those are the traits that add to the value of the player.
Howie, when you look at those first three picks you have specifically, you said earlier, you know you can't hit on every pick, but the importance of really trying to nail those and make sure you can get some impact players, maybe not for this year, but down the line.
Yeah, I think the higher you are in the draft, the better the success rate is. And even the higher you are in the round, the better the success rate is. So, we'll just stick to our process. We'll stick to our board. We'll try to accumulate as much information as we can to make good decisions. And I feel like we've done that in the past few years here.
Howie, how much is one of those?
It's like a wind gust. They put us in the wind gust in the shade. I mean, what do we got? It's all the sunshine.
Howie, how much is one of those intangibles?
Should work out. You're like sweating from this coming down. I think Gunn's secretly hoping it collapses on my head. It'll be on TV's bloopers. It'll be great. Thank you for having my back.
With one of those intangibles, how much is it hey, this guy is going to fit on the offensive side just right for our system, or this guy's going to fit in Jim's system on defense? How much does that factor in if it gets close between the two players?
Fit's important. Fit's important. That's why we spend so much time with these guys. That's why we bring them in the building. That's why we spend so much time talking to our coaches about what they're looking for, how they view a player. I think the worst result for us is bringing in a player that, the coaches don't see in the same way. And then we get frustrated, they get frustrated. So we try to minimize that.
Howie, when you have a draft where there's not necessarily a need right away, does that make it more?
Yeah, that's it.
Is it easier to trade back or make trades? Like if you're not desperate for a position, maybe you're not trading up.
I think the most important thing is it's your opportunity to get a difference maker. Really a self-made Eagle difference maker where you're not signing them in free agency, you're not trading for them. You're raising them, you're growing them in your system. So if you have that opportunity, you don't want to pass on that.
Does what happened with Russell Wilson change anything as it relates to the Carson decision? I mean, that big contract.
Should I have given him 2 questions, you think? I should have just
let.
I should have let one at a time, 2019 draft.
Good answer.
Howard. What do you got?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm just-
Okay.
Howie, when you look at the linebacking situation, 2 questions in one. First of all, do you feel you have a needed linebacker? Number 2, how do you grade this linebacking class?
I think the first part is we're always looking to improve the talent level on our team at every position. We win with a talented roster. We want a talented 90-man roster. We want a talented 53-man roster. So at every position, we're not satisfied at this moment. That being said, we brought in some people that we think can help this team, that we think are going to surprise people. We have some younger players that are going to continue to grow. When you look at the draft, when you look at the linebacker position as a whole, it's changed, it's evolved. You have some guys who used to play linebacker who are moving to safety. The bigger linebackers now moving to defensive line. So there's not as many in the draft as there used to be because the position has changed. A lot of times you're playing nickel, so there are only 2 guys on the field instead of 3. So, we look at all those factors.
All right, thanks, guys. I think we got Joe coming up next.
Thanks, Howard.
He likes